Alrighty then. Hey there, everyone. Which, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say we probably have, no viewers. But that's okay. Welcome back to the Social Otaku. My name is Josh, aka Josh in the Shell. And I am here once again with Elliot for our new episode of the Social Otaku. Can you hear yourself? There we go. I think I had you muted. Say more words?
Cutting in kind of soft.
Yeah, let me boost you up a little bit. Say words again, buddy.
I think, well, also I moved my mic a little bit closer.
That might help, yeah. Alright, there we go. Alright.
Yeah, I hear myself pretty well.
Okay, perfect. Alright, so I wanted to start this one off. Today we're going to be talking about a concept I came up with, which I call fake it till you make it. And we'll get into what exactly that means. But first, I wanted to go over some of the things that we talked about last time. One, because I need to make a correction for something that I said, which I got incorrect and then I just doubled down on it, so that's not working right. And then also go over things that are going to be rolling into today's topic. So the first thing I want to say is that for whatever reason, my brain just kind of turned off for a second in our last podcast, and I said that the definition of confidence is being comfortable in different situations, and that is not really correct. I don't want that to be the definition we're going with. I think a better definition, and Elliot, after I say it, if you think there's an even better way to put it, just let me know. But I think probably the best definition would be you being in control of your emotions, not the other way around.
I'd agree with that.
Okay. So, got that off my chest. So, again, it can help you be comfortable in new situations, different situations, etc., but it doesn't necessarily mean you are going to be comfortable in all those different situations. It's just your ability to control your emotions and prevent them from taking over and causing issues for you or the people around you. That is confidence. So, Elliot, can you remember what we went over last week as far as just a couple important things for being confident?
Body posture and positioning yourself. Let's see. Engaging people. Oh man, this is a test. I should have been paying attention.
Well, fortunately, the only one I want to use as kind of a jumping off point for today's episode, the fake it to make it, is the body posture. So,
yes.
You got it, bud. Yeah, you got the obvious one.
Check mark.
Alright, so, anywho. Let's see. So, anywho, I don't know why I keep getting distracted, but I need to work on that. So today, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about fake it till you make it, and I've noticed a lot of people try to advise against quote-unquote faking it, or and you can easily fall into a trap of thinking it's a bad idea to fake confidence. But depending on how you go about it, it can actually be very useful. For example, if you have bad posture, stand up straighter. You are pretending to be more confident, technically, by standing up straighter and making sure that you're looking forward or trying to look in people's eyes every now and again when they're talking to you and things like that. You could be faking that confidence, but it's going to help you be more confident because, like we discussed last week, it physiologically helps you to be more confident, and open body posture very much helps with that. So the fake it till you make it is kind of an offshoot of the idea that standing up straighter alone can help. Sometimes mimicking what other people do, other people who are confident do, can also be very helpful. And so you would literally be acting or playing a part of someone who you think is a good role model for confidence or charisma, etc., and just see what works, what doesn't. Maybe you'll find something completely different that you like to do, or some other way that you can be confident. But if you're looking for a place to start, fake it till you make it, I think is a really good idea. So Elliot and I have come up with one or two different people that we, at some point in our lives, have tried to model ourselves after.
Yes.
So, let me see.
I have my list right here. Boom.
All right, I like that kicking music in the background, so I pumped it up a little bit.
Pump up the jam.
Mm.
Also,
like
with the standing up straight, that's also a good way of like just getting a good sense of airflow in through the nostrils, out through the mouth. Like just changing that perspective and just changing the way you breathe. Just, I know it's kind of like, oh, of course, duh. Breathing is, I know how to do it. I'm subconsciously doing it right now, but if you're not really actively breathing the way you should be breathing, sometimes you're just gonna put yourself in that little funk. And especially whenever you're meeting new people and you default to just like nose breathing, taking a really long time. If you take that time to like really stand up straight, it's gonna like kickstart in your brain like, oh, I'm gonna start breathing a little bit better.
Well, and you would definitely know our music expert.
Experts. Oh no, gotta have confidence. You know what? I was gonna doubt myself.
Don't do
You know
it.
what? Not today. Not today. Yes.
Not today, Satan.
That's why I play a lot of the times. A lot of the times I'll be standing up while I play, and that's usually whenever I get the best results. Is when I am standing up straight, my shoulders back, and really letting my shoulders do the work. So, should I start or should you start on people we tried to emulate?
I'm thinking I'll go ahead and because you said you have more than one, right? Because I only went with just the one.
I have 3.
All right, well, we'll start with one of yours, and then we'll move on to one of mine.
All right. I think one of the people that I look up to a lot is a comedian, and his name is Brian Regan. If you guys ever heard of that guy.
Sounds vaguely familiar. I'm not sure I'm totally familiar with him.
So, Brian Regan, we can get into, like, the mythos of Brian Regan. So you have, like, Seinfeld. He's like, what is the deal with this? And, you know, it's always the world inconveniencing him. But with Brian Regan, he's kind of like, no, the world makes sense. I'm just kind of dumb sometimes and stick my foot in my mouth.
I like that.
Well, look at me. Like, what's the deal with me?
What's the deal with airplane food?
Exactly. It is. But, like, the thing is that, like, he knows he's, like, kind of awkward and that he does these things, but he still, like, is out there, putting himself out there, telling these stories so we can laugh with him. Sometimes at him, but mainly with him. And he just seems like a real kind of modest guy and a guy that I like to be around. And makes really good impressions, too. Does a lot of animal noises. But I really look up to him. Yeah. And also, he's putting himself out there on that stage. Like, if I was telling stories like that, man, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I can definitely see how that's affected how you approach the world.
Yes. And
yeah, go ahead.
I just always keep up with his specials, and
Mm-hmm.
I just like the way he's not afraid to get into these situations for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of his career, he really doubted himself, kind
Mm-hmm.
of. But the more he's gone, he's more like, no, I went to college. I'm a smarty. I'm gonna call you on some stuff. And so that kind of has morphed his material from being like really self-deprecating to be kind of like, I might be an idiot, but like maybe so are you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Kind of
that's
changing
always lighthearted and fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And since we do actually apparently have viewers, if you want to comment at any point in time, if you have any questions, we are open to that. We're not just sitting here telling you things.
I'll open my Twitch chat now.
Oh man, oh hot diggity. All right. Anyway, yeah, that's really good, and comedians really are a good place to go for confidence, because that's kind of their job is you know
Yes.
to make people laugh, to make people happy, and to be confident enough to tell their jokes how they want to tell them, and go up on stage or out into a crowd or something like that. So they're usually a pretty good role model that you can go with for the whole idea of fake it till you make it. The one I came up with is also a comedian.
Ooh.
Yeah. Surprise of all surprises that everyone is expecting. Of course, it's Craig Ferguson.
Ah. Yes.
I love Craig Ferguson so much. Like he just oozes charisma. If you've ever seen any of his any of the clips from his nightly show, the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, you know, before it moved over to James Corden and he moved on to do other things, that was one of my favorite late night shows. When that was still airing. But if you look at clips, like often he'll very easily get away with flirting with people, men and women, flirting with them, and not being super creepy about it. Like, it's very easy to be creepy about those things, and one thing that I like is that he doesn't take anything too seriously. So he always tries to find ways to make people laugh, to make people comfortable, or to make them uncomfortable in a comfortable way, which it's really interesting. I started getting a lot of my own comedic style from just how awkward he could make things sometimes, but like in the most fun way. Like one of the ways he would end a segment with a guest that he was talking to was he would offer them a couple different ways of signing off the night, and one of those ways is the awkward pause.
Oh no.
I love the awkward pause so much, because they're just sitting there, and the ones who are good at it will just sit there, like, arms crossed, making just, like, darty eyes, and acting like it's super, super awkward, but you can tell they're trying to hold in a laugh, because it's just so much fun.
Just kind of putting him on the spot, but like not to the point where like, oh, you must do this, but just like the pressure's a little bit off.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that I've really taken, is that when you can poke fun about how awkward something is, it's less awkward. So that's something that I try to do, and that's kind of what we want people to take away from the whole fake it to make it thing, is find things that you can try to do. Take one or two things that you've noticed, something they say, or some way that they bring up humor and things like that, and just really have something to try for. Maybe that's one of the goals that you have, like go to a bar, or go to a new D&D group and focus on one thing. For example, the funny, awkward type of humor, with really obvious awkward faces and things like that. You could go and just try to do that, and your goal to be to make someone laugh at least once doing that. Or if you feel pressured, or you feel like there's quote-unquote something wrong with you, like Brian Regan was his name, right?
Yeah.
You can try and approach things the way he does, and at least at one point during the night, make yourself feel good about yourself being able to laugh at yourself with other people about something silly that's, self-referential, things like that. So that's part of where Fake It to Make It comes in. So do you have anything to add just on that general point?
Try to think of, you've mainly covered all the bases. I would say, if you're really doing a comedian, don't just like say the exact same jokes that the comedian did. Like, maybe think of like, how would this character approach this situation in his or her point of view? Like, don't just like rattle off the Brian Regan one-liners that you got, and then nobody's laughing, and then they're like, I've heard this before, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, don't be a full-on copycat. But to be fair, sometimes that can be the way to go.
Absolutely.
Like if it's a way that they posture themselves, or a line that they repeatedly use as almost like a catchphrase or something like that, then absolutely you can be a straight-on copycat, but it's more along the lines of trying to find things that are inherently you. Because one of the people I started with, I have gone very, very far away from that initial image that I had of myself, but I'm more me, and I'm glad that I went for some of those other styles and some of those other more exact things, because it really helped me in the end to find, eventually, how I act, what my humor is, what my confidence is, and things like that.
And that's like the $1 million thing, is to get to that point. But like, it definitely takes a lot of practice, especially coming from like you as an introvert and like being kind of like shying away from those. It can definitely be hard, and we talked about that in the last episode. But now we're graduating on to putting yourself out there, meeting other people. I think it's a fair point to say that whenever you do feel like you're copying somebody, and you just feel uncomfortable doing that, I would say, like, maybe take a step back and think, like, am I overdoing it? And if the answer is no, then I'd say just keep on doing it. Keep on faking it. You'll make it.
That's a very good point. So who else did you come up with?
Thought you would never ask. So let's see which one I should go with. I got two right here. I'm gonna go with my boy Nakey Jakey.
What?
Nakey Jakey is a YouTuber that I have recently figured out on the YouTubes. PewDiePie gave him a shout out, if that means anything to you.
It means a lot to me. I must have seen it, I just don't remember it. Was it in like that one video where he just recommended a crud ton of channels? Yeah,
he was one of those channels.
Nice.
And I've figured out about Nakey before that, but then, whenever PewDiePie mentions you kind of go off a little bit.
Yeah.
And this guy sits on a yoga ball in a really hot room and sweats and talks about video games, while also maybe rapping about Pizza Hut and stuff like that. And just over the top stuff. Like, kind of, I'm not going to say absurdist, but some of it's pretty absurd, like superimposing a green screen of him dancing to Beyonce on a yoga ball while he's saying who runs the world, and he says mom, and who runs the world, mommy, and just like jokes like that. Oh, they get me. And I've actually took one of his phrases now. Whenever I want to leave, I'm like, I'm gonna boot, scoot, and boogie the heck out of here.
Well, and we were just talking about how sometimes it's okay to pull a catchphrase or be a direct copycat if it's something that feels natural and fun to you.
Absolutely. That's like one of my favorite phrases to use now. And I really like it because it's like kind of a play on the song "Boot Scootin' Boogie," and then, you're like, I'm getting out of here.
I just gotta make like a tree and get out of here.
Oh, nice. I thought it was going somewhere different, and I was like, eee.
Hey, leave me alone. I'm bushed. I need to stop.
Dude, you're just Maple Leaf ragging on about this. We should stop. Podcast is canceled.
Anywho,
that's another thing that we both like have confidence in, is just like making stupid puns with each other and bouncing them off.
And that's one of the things that we kind of bonded over when we first met, working at Unnamed Company.
Yes. At Unnamed Company, like, I think we just got into a minute-long pun war.
I remember that.
Different stuff. Like, if we were just, like, playing categories with puns, and just, that's another fake it till you make it, because with puns, it's definitely, like, you hear a good pun, and then you put it in your pocket, and you save it for later whenever you get into a pun war with someone. And, like, the art of puns, there's kind of like a steely, but there's also a feely, and taking it with you, and just, like, riding that. And some people are like, why would you do that? And my goal as being a social person is to have my friends say, I hate that, but I also love that.
That's the kind of the beauty of puns. Not only are they funny, they're also really annoying.
Yes.
So if you can get people to legitimately enjoy you making puns, even when they, for one reason or another, usually hate puns, like actually legitimately hate them, not like a love-hate. If you can get them to actually laugh, that is a sign of good charisma, because to make a pun funny is not to make it quote-unquote good, because there's no such thing as a good pun.
No.
They're all terrible,
Absolutely.
And that's what's beautiful about them. So, the key is not to make a better pun, but it's to deliver the pun with such confidence, that the people who are listening to your pun can't help but just to be drawn in to that charisma and just burst out with laughter.
Yeah, it's all about the character behind it,
I just realized I waxed philosophical briefly about puns.
I'm all here for it. You have to fake the puns till you make the puns.
Yeah, I mean, a good portion of my repertoire of puns did come directly from Elliot. From good old Surly Temple here. And what I thought was hilarious was 9 times out of 10, if we ever went out and like hung out, I would make some of the worst puns, and oftentimes I can't even remember if it was one of my puns that he heard, or if it was one of his puns or anything like that, but I would usually tell them better.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is the greatest part, because I personally think that you are the better punster, just overall. But thanks to the charisma that I've been able to develop using a lot of these ideas and tactics, I tend to have better comedic timing, which is why I'm hopefully going to be getting more into like stand-up and comedy shows and things like that. But I had to fake it sometimes. I had to make it seem like I came up with a pun on the spot, even though I'm pulling it out of my pocket, as Elliot said. So it's a really interesting dynamic that you can create with puns.
I definitely agree.
Let's get back on topic. Who's your last example for us today?
I have a guy that I used to really fake like this guy, and I've kind of deviated off of this path a little bit, but Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, I've worked with him. It's fun.
Yes. I was a big Achievement Hunter fan, and I followed this guy named Ray Narvaez Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big inspiration for me as far as like comedy and putting myself out there. He would always have like a one-liner in his pocket, like "Whoa, what are we doing here?" and like blah blah blah, and just for a long time I tried to be like him, and it worked a little bit, but after some time, I knew that like he left Achievement Hunter. And that kind of was like a wake-up call for me, like, wow, like, yeah, these people that you follow, that you look up to, they're faking it too. Like, he got burned out playing those games. He didn't want to play Minecraft for, like, 10 years of his life. Wanted to do his own thing, and I really respected that. And whenever I saw that side of him and he went into Twitch, I stopped really following him. I don't know how he's doing now, but he was somebody I really looked up to, and I still kind of take up some mannerisms from him today, but that was kind of like a wake-up call for me.
All right. Yeah, it's always nice to see that people have the confidence to be their own person, to do their own thing, and sometimes confidence is about saying, I am not going to be here right now.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even because everything's bad, but just because you think that it can be better somewhere else.
Yeah, and I take there's so much respect for someone who just like looks at their life and they're like, you know what, I want to change it. You know, I've been here for a while, and that was me for a while. I was just sitting in my room by myself, not hanging out with any of my friends, but eventually, after, you know, a bad breakup, of course, as it goes. Of course. You know, I started going back to school, and all my friends had graduated at that point, and I just had to get out there and force myself to find new friends, and I did.
Yay, I'm your friend.
Yay!
Yay!
And now I sing in a bunch of choirs. Well, I guess just two. I play in a jazz band. And yeah, it's just really nice to see, like,
become more you.
I've become more me by also not becoming me.
That's the interesting thing I find about fake it till you make it as an idea, because sometimes the way we act is not who we are. There's a quote I made while I was completely sober, believe it or not. I said something that sounded like not sober Josh talking, because you know those weird little isms that you come up with when you're inebriated.
Sometimes you can be punch drunk too, like just a little bit of a sleep, and you'll be like, I know when I get sleepy, I get silly.
Well, what I said, how did I phrase it? Your personality is a caricature of who you really are.
Ooh.
Yeah. That was sober
really
me. Which, as the viewers can tell, and as I've said, and we are going to be doing some philosophy specifically, or specifically philosophy-based podcasts as well at some point, hopefully in the near future. I do like to look into different philosophies and, you know, think about these things, and I realized that your personality is really just you expressing what you think needs to be expressed in the way that you feel you need to express it. So at that point, I mean, really how you talk to people, how you interact with people, your posture, etc., that's not really you. That's how you project you to the world. So by using the fake it till you make it method that we're talking about today, and copying something or being inspired by something that a celebrity or a character from a show or someone who's actually in your life actually trying these things out, see what works and see what doesn't, can help your caricature of who you really are, be closer to the real you, or express the real you in a certain way, because who I am, who you are, can't always be expressed with words. So that's why art can be very, very powerful, because you're taking someone's words, which are inherently restrictive because there's a limited number of words, and you're putting it into the abstract to elicit emotion or to kind of get the message across in a less restrictive way. So that's what your personality can do for you, is project your true thoughts, feelings, etc. In the right way, in the way that you feel that is best for the people around you. And the better used, I think.
Absolutely, yes. I would say, like, getting attached to the art is definitely a great way of, like, branching out and meeting other people who like that art that you like.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot about you, and that says a lot about them. Like, I like anime, Josh likes anime. We hit it off immediately.
Oh, yeah. And now we're doing panels together. We're doing this podcast together. So
yeah,
the art really, really speaks to things. I mean, one good example of someone who, even in anime, might be a good caricature to pull at least a little bit of something from would be one of my personal favorites, Spike Spiegel.
Ah, classic.
Well, because he's cool, he's laid back, he's not perfect, and they go out of their way to make sure that you know, yeah, he's got his own problems, and sometimes the way that he acts is annoying or troublesome to the people around him. But you can still pull a little bit from that, like, maybe I should be more laid back, maybe I should take life less seriously, or, you know, maybe I should take up Jeet Kune Do, who knows? Martial arts is a really good way to boost confidence, but maybe you see something in that fictional, drawn character, that animated character might be a good example of who you might want to be more like.
Absolutely. And that's kind of piggybacking off of that. That's one of our first things that we do in the panel.
Mm-hmm.
That they come to. We ask them to talk with people, and we ask them, hey, I want you to find someone else in this room, and I want you to talk about who your favorite anime character is. And then that's like how we springboard off into our panel and the discussion. And that's really like, that is the first example we use to get people talking with each other.
And almost every time I'll bring up Spike Spiegel, because he's just who comes to mind when I think of someone who you could definitely pull from. And then sometimes I'll get answers where I've never even heard of the anime, and I have to get them to describe that person. And usually, interestingly enough, I notice a lot of the answers we get from anime that I don't necessarily know a lot about. They seem to go for the more intelligent characters, the more cool-handed, less emotional characters, which I find rather interesting.
Yeah, kind of more the reserved people that I definitely looked up. I'm trying to think of who my favorite anime character now is. Oh,
I think it's difficult to come out with any one particular favorite, which is why last time we tried this out by switching it to an anime character you'd really like to talk to.
Yes.
Which I think it probably pulls out more of the right type of anime character when you think of who would you like to talk to? Who do you think it would be fun or interesting to talk to?
Because you wouldn't want to talk to Vicious from Cowboy Bebop, even though you might think he's kind of cool.
I would.
You wouldn't want to. You would?
I would. That's because I'm an insane person, and so is he.
Yes. So that might work, but like...
But it wouldn't for everyone else.
like Endeavor from My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah, no, I would just not be able to stand that guy. But you know who everyone should talk to because he is simply the best anime character to have ever existed. It's the Great Lord Twigo from Seven Deadly Sins.
I haven't seen that, and people are gonna kill me for that.
Bro, you need to watch that. Oh my god.
I know, I'm running the Social Otaku podcast and I haven't seen it. It's really embarrassing.
You need to watch it. First of all, I personally recommend the English dub. I prefer, in this particular case, I prefer the dub over the sub. I actually waited I waited for Netflix to dub Season 2 before I watched it.
Is it a Netflix original?
Well, it's a Netflix exclusive.
Okay,
so
I'll give it a look.
Yeah, it's really good. But the joke, of course, is well, Lord Twigo is in episode 1, and I think one other episode in the entire series. Oh, he did.
Ooh.
And he was shown to look super impressive, and then be shown immediately how powerful one of the main characters is by comparison, and it's so great because he is just oozing with confidence, and I love him so much. He's too arrogant, but it's just really fun for me to think of him as the single greatest anime character, Daddy Twigo.
Better than Kamina?
Better than Kamina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fighting words. That's a guy, in my opinion, who exudes confidence to me. Is Kamina. And just his whole demeanor. But also does die, but in his death does more for the people around him than he does in his life, I'd argue.
Yeah. I mean, that you saw... Oh, spoilers for...
Oh, yes, sorry.
Any human being who has, at this point, somehow still not seen Gurren Lagann.
Sorry.
Well, no, that's perfectly fine because I'm about to give a huge spoiler as well. So when he dies, rip, like you see it coming, you absolutely do, which is also part of why I don't think it's as big a deal to spoil the fact that he does die, because they get you to fall in love with him over a short period of episodes. You are in love with Kamina and his confidence and his go-get-em attitude and his kindness and that just charisma that he has from being who he is, that you can't help but to love him. And then when they rip that away, it's devastating. Like that is one of those anime moments that you can't help but cry every time. I mean, you probably can, but you know what I mean. Like it doesn't ever not affect you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the characters learn that mistake at the end. They're like, man, like he was too confident, got in way too over his head. But they loved him for it, and eventually kind of became their martyr and savior in a way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should show this on the stream.
Okay, yes, I see
that's
now.
Lord Twigo. The indomitable Twigo-sama.
He's got a 5-arm.
Yeah, he's I know the ladies love it when you roll up your sleeves and show your forearms, but I only got 2. So
walks away. I saw that tweet on your Facebook profile.
I love it so much.
Talking about faking it till you make it. I saw him. joke police, come on, round him up. I'm just joshing, man.
Oh, we have problems. Alright, I'm gonna save this image and I'm gonna put it up on the stream real quick here. Because that's
very
what needs to be
important.
done. It's incredibly important. Why is that not?
Oh, I just see a fire on stream so far. I've turned the music off because I don't want to hear my double vocals.
Oh yeah. I tried to just directly add it from my desktop and it didn't work. So.
Anyways, this Lord Twigo guy. Let me take a
Absolute
look at
mad
him.
lad.
A lot of red, gray, and black. Oh, and some yellow. It's a nice color combo.
Oh, okay.
Did you get it?
No, I realized why it wasn't showing up. I was putting it in the wrong one. There we go.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
Twigo-sama, Lord Commander.
Oh! He's dancing on the fire there.
Conclusion! That's actually a meme that I wanted to start doing once I made videos. Was just, as I was editing them, I would just say, like, and so for our conclusion! Just, like, make him, like, pop in and out of screen, because that was his thing. Like, he would look at a situation, and he would say, oh yes, I see you have a sword on your back, and I recognize that. Conclusion! You shall die today. It's just so great.
Hey,
He's so
Josh.
stupid, and I love it.
I have one more person that exudes confidence that I fake that I'd like to shout out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
His name is, you might know him, his name is called Josh in the Shell.
I knew you were
And,
gonna go there.
Let me tell you, this guy, every time I go out to the bar with him, he's always finding somebody new to talk to, or introducing me to someone new to talk to that he's already talked to, and like letting me be a part of that circle. And I try to be like this guy so much, to have the same amount of charisma as this dude.
But you have to be honest, Colin is the cute one.
Colin is the cute one. Colin, I love you. I'm gonna send him a message on Telegram right now. It's me making a heart.
Well, it's really funny. We were talking to a waitress, I think this was a few months ago. We didn't talk to her a whole lot prior because, you know, she wasn't always there when we went, but we enjoyed talking to her. And at one point, she just let loose, well, you know, Colin's the cute one. And I was like, oh yeah, he definitely is. And Colin's just sitting there like, what?
What's going on?
And then he gave it some thought and he realized, yes, he is in fact the cute one. Because that's the thing, I go out there at least attempting to be as brimming with confidence and charisma as much as I can. But as far as Colin goes, he has a really unique way of looking at things. And because he just has this innocence about him, but he's confident enough to talk to people, I think that creates a vibe of, you know, he does exude his own, I guess cuteness is a good way to put it, and his own intelligence in the way that he looks at the world. He doesn't hold back. He has the confidence to just say things the way he wants to say them, which is sometimes the strangest thing in the universe. Which is part of why I love him. He's one of my best friends. And he's just... And that just goes to show, like, you can have someone like me who goes out there with confidence, charisma, you know, I'm telling jokes, I'm getting to know people, I'm talking to new people, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm befriending as many new people as I can, because I can. And then you have someone who is much more soft-spoken, also an introvert, obviously, and just kind of does his own thing, but still has enough confidence to go out there and do things. So it's not always going to be about being the charmer. It's not always going to be about, you know, who is the best looking guy or the most confident looking guy. I mean, 9 times out of 10, what'll happen is I'll very easily start up a conversation with a lady. But if you want a lady who's going to be staying the whole night talking to our group, it's gonna be because of Colin, not because of me.
Or if you're very drunk, me, but you backed me up into a corner and I can't escape. True story.
Is
That
it?
was a fun night.
I'm trying to remember. What night was that?
That one guy brought his girlfriend in, and she really wanted to talk to me about being an art major because she figured out I was a music major.
Okay.
And like, she was very into talking to us because she was very inebriated, and she ended up talking to me for about 30 minutes to an hour. I actually got her phone number in my phone. I texted her the next day, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "Yeah, thanks." And then that was the end of that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Her boyfriend was not happy.
Her boyfriend was like, he actually went over to me. He's like, "Thanks for listening, man." He told that to me, and I was like, "I'm so sorry."
I think he had too much of an earful that night.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway,
I was willing.
I hope they're doing well.
I hope so too.
Isn't that a nice, heartwarming story?
Oh, I'm making a heart with my hands. You can't see it right now, but I made one.
I can imagine it. Were you gonna say something? I felt like you were starting to say something.
Oh no, I was just doing the heart over the hands again.
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh, well, you can't see that. Yes, I realized over an audio podcast making visual jokes doesn't quite work. I'm an idiot.
Well, it's okay. I'm making a hand gesture towards you as well.
I don't like where this is going.
Well, and that's another thing with humor. Leave more stuff out. A good humor is like a good horror movie. You don't always need to see the monster. You don't always need to see the joke, because I could have been making a heart sign at him. Or I could have been flipping him off. Or I could have been making rude gestures. Who knows? That's up to you, and that's the funny part, at least to me, was that you didn't know.
Starting a conversation is like freeform jazz. You kind of just gotta start and see where it goes. You know, wherever the person goes, you should probably follow. And if they go into a direction you don't like, don't be afraid to be like, "Hey, adios, this was fun." Like, let's say they come up to you and they say, "Oh, I actually had this happen to me the other day, where I was talking to a lady on a service of some sort. And I was like, "Oh man, I noticed you you're a video game designer. What's your favorite video game?" And she's like, "I don't have one." And I'm like, "Okay, strike one, I guess," in my mind. And then I'm like, "Well, I like Persona 5 a lot." And she's like, "Ew." And I'm like, "I don't need this type of negativity today." And I unmatched immediately. And
Yep.
sometimes people are just gonna close themselves off, and you know, that's okay.
Yeah, and
not
you
there
always
to
gotta.
change them.
Yeah,
And they're
make
not
sure
there to change you. Sorry.
We both start talking at the same time. It's like, you know what? You have this one. You got this one, bud.
Yeah, you're not gonna change them, and they're not gonna change you. Or they shouldn't.
Well, exactly, and there are going to be people who have all sorts of negativity. You know, for example, of course, if I were to tell you that one of my dreams is to see that a movie is made with Keanu Reeves and Brendan Fraser as a buddy cop pairing, and there are people, and I just posted this idea today on Facebook, and there are people who said, "No, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life." Okay.
Blasphemers, I tell you.
But yeah, no, I think that would be a lot of fun. But if there was something I genuinely enjoyed, and there were people who wanted to ruin that for me, I would most likely just try to ignore it, or try to see if there's some way that they can enjoy it too. And that's one of the things, is there are some things that I personally think are terrible or not fun, or something in some fashion is bad about it. It's not that I want to do that. It's just that I'm not able to find enjoyment in those things. I don't know why I went off on a tangent on that, but yeah, jokes are fun.
Jokes are fun. Keep it light, keep it breezy.
Indeed. So, I'm trying to think. I want to get back to, I wasn't feeling too well last week, so that's
yes.
part of why we did not stream last week, but I want to see, instead of talking about it afterwards, why don't we, I guess, talk about it at the end of the podcast this time. What do we want to talk about next time?
Oh, I have some notes here. Let me just pull up my handy-dandy notebook here. Okay, I didn't mean to start a new doc there, but okay. I love Google Drive.
Oh boy, hot diggity.
Hot diggity.
No diggity, no doubt.
I love that song. Okay, so we got self-confidence, boom. We got body language, boom. Fake it till you make it, boom. I think our next one, we wanted to try breaking/thawing the ice.
Oh yeah, that's right. So just as a teaser for that, breaking the ice, a lot of people know, is, you know, breaking through that barrier to talk to someone, finding some way to introduce yourself as someone that they can speak to. So approaching someone and saying hi can be an icebreaker. But thawing the ice is a little different. I don't know, and I'll do some more research to see if that's a thing, but I kind of came up with that term on my own, and I'd be curious to see if this is a concept that people are talking about, like if thawing the ice has been an idea with other people as well. But that's when you're already in a conversation, but you still feel like there's a barrier there. Like maybe you've been kind of stiltedly talking to someone, making small talk or something like that. So thawing the ice would be finding a way to get the conversation more engaged. So, that being said, do you have any last words?
I love you, Josh.
Love you too, buddy. This is awkward now.
It's only awkward because you're making it awkward.
You know,
that's my parents scream.
If we ever do a podcast with video, we definitely need to take a page, fake it till we make it. Take a page from Craig Ferguson's book and find weird ways to end our podcast. I don't think the awkward pause would quite work with audio only.
It would just be silence. So you would have the video end, and then it would keep on ending.
Yep.
It would just be silence. It wouldn't be that great. But you would still have the fire going, though.
Oh, yeah. And the fun, like, techno bagpipe music that I chose. Which, by the way...
Techno bagpipe?
Yeah. Let me see. I'll send you... It's called Club Seamus.
Well, that's a Seamus.
It's by Kevin MacLeod. I love Kevin MacLeod's music, and really all you need to do is...
it's all royalty-free, right?
Well, it's royalty-free. All you have to do is credit him, or you can purchase an extended license, and you don't have to, I don't know why you wouldn't, but you don't have to credit it. And also, it's just really good music, honestly. If anyone's looking for music for production or for podcasts or something like that, definitely, if you haven't before, and I don't know how you wouldn't know about Incompetech.com by now, but if you haven't before, look up Kevin MacLeod's music, because it's all sorts of fun. And he's even, I think he's got a new, like, beta website, and better, in my opinion, better options for his music. But anyway, I think that's probably all the time we have for today, so we will see you on the next one.
Over and out.